Good morning, beautiful souls. Happy Sunday. It is a dull day here, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm super excited for today's conscious conversation. If you're new here, if you're catching this on the replay, if you're one of our regulars, welcome. I love you. Natalie and I love having these conversations with you and with each other. And we learn from you. We love when you share your wisdom, your insights as well. And today we're going to be talking about, I posted, good morning, Shannon. I had posted in the group. Oh, thank you, Shannon. I put some makeup on, not full makeup, but I put a little bit on. Good morning, Alexis. Oh, I can't tell you guys. It's so great to have you here live with us. So I had posted earlier in the week in the group, share, I'm going to be looking at my laptop because I'm looking at what people shared. Share words of wisdom or intuitive messages that children, your children, other children, any children, have told you. And, Natalie and I talk, like Natalie's got a super intuitive son. Send a request to Natalie. And yeah, just kids are so connected. And so we learn so much from our kids. And anyone who's a mom knows this. If you're not a parent, that's okay. You've been around children. Maybe you've heard things from children, right? Robina, good morning. Natalie, good morning.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm feeling pretty good today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rosalie, good morning. We've got so many people on live with us. Wonderful.
Morning, guys.
Anyway, yeah, so I was just what was I doing? I don't know. I guess I was introducing myself. Hi. Hi
Yeah.
guys. Angie, yeah, if you're on here on the replay, whatever it is, we love having these conversations. So please share, even if you're on the replay, we will see your comments, keep the conversation going. None of these conversations have to end. They all tie in together anyway, right? And yeah, I'm just really excited to have you guys here. And I am an intuitive spiritual mentor and EFT tapping practitioner. And really, I'm just passionate about bringing women together so that we can share our wisdom and our knowledge, our energy. We amplify each other, right? When we come together and we share this information, we activate each other, we walk each other home to our souls. And so that's what this is all about for me. And I'm so grateful to have you guys here. And so I'll let Natalie introduce herself to you and we'll get started.
Good morning, guys. I'm Natalie, and I've known Angie for quite a long time, and I love these conversations. So when I'm not having these conversations with Angie, I work with homeschool families, um, and a couple of different ways I help you guys out or homeschool families out is have an outdoor-based curriculum. It's all online. It's all on an online platform, but it's really encouraging kids to get outside, to connect back with nature. And yeah, so that's a really big part of it. And another part is I help homeschool parents figure it out, right? So that it doesn't seem overwhelming or too complicated. Um, yeah, because I mean, homeschooling has completely changed my relationship with my kids. And it's really been an important part of my awakening journey. So I just want to bring that to other families as well.
Yeah, me too. Awesome. Thanks, Natalie. So, yeah, words of wisdom and intuitive messages. You want to start us off? Because you had some like pretty big thing happen with
Yeah.
Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, what was the first one? So I had just a little bit of a backstory on this. You know, these talks with Angie, they're for, they're for you guys, but they're for us too, because I get like such divine wisdom coming through. Like Sunday evenings, Monday mornings are just like jam packed, right? Of like amazing messages.
Yeah.
And one of them was, so I was doing my bedtime routine, and then my 7-year-old son was there, and it was just, I just saw how everything was connected, and it was kind of like a high energy, high emotional moment, right? Where usually I lose my like mind. I'm like, well, like I'm just feeling frustrated, right? Like this situation's frustrating me, and then it became more frustrating outward. But it was like so fascinating, anyways. And then Jackson, my son, told me like, boom, all of a sudden it stopped, right? You know how you're like in the moment, and then boom, all of a sudden it stopped. And then my 7-year-old comes up to me and he says, and I don't have the computer screen up, but he says something like, forget about today,
Yeah.
and think about what you want tomorrow or for tomorrow or something like that.
Yeah, forget everything about today and think of what you want tomorrow.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa. Like, yes, 7-year-olds saying that, man. Like, what an amazing planet we're on. And
Yes.
I do talk about this like not a lot, but I'm a good I think I'm a good example of my family of like how to read script, right? Like I even have like some like analogies of like, just grab your magic marker and just like
Yeah, white
like you're the
screen.
magic Mr.
White
Clean
screen.
magic eraser and just clean it all up. Like it didn't happen, right? So that came in and I'm like, oh. And then like again, the intensity in that moment just like dropped to like zero. And then he gave me a hug, and every second I went off and out.
You
And
probably walk
then
away like, what just
yeah, so
happened
that's
there?
yeah, so that's what gave me the idea for this, right? And then I like messaged Angie like right away. I'm like, OMG, we have to.
Oh no, you're
Do you want me
frozen.
to tell them about that other thing
I don't
that
know
I
if
was
you can hear me,
texting you
but
about?
oh, there we go. You're back.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to share with them the other thing about
Yeah.
Jackson?
Yes,
Where I was just
yes.
like, whoa, okay, this gave me goosebumps, guys. So I forget which day it was. It was like Tuesday or anyways, it was a day during the week, right? And so I get up, you know, like I start my job around like 8:30 in the morning. And Jackson wakes up around 9-ish. So he comes downstairs in my office. He says good morning, and then I usually tell him like what's for breakfast and stuff. But then he just kind of out of the blue just started talking. He's like, "There's this hacker, mommy," and then he said like one or two other sentences, but I wasn't really like paying that much attention. And then he just went on into like breakfast stuff. And then a couple hours later, guys, my mom calls me. She got hacked. Her computer got hacked, and like pretty like I was just like, because at first she was
Wait.
saying it right, like, oh, okay. And then I like sat down while I was still talking to her on the phone, just trying to walk her through it. I'm like, bloody hell, Jackson's just like Jackson's message of a hacker, and I was just like, whoa. I'm like, I'm having a skull opening, awakening moment, and I'm talking on the phone with my mom, right?
Man,
And I was trying to walk her through it, and like this was just like coming into like crashing into me in waves. And I was just like, whoa,
that is
yeah,
so wild. When you
yeah.
told me, I was like, I had like bumps too. Like, oh my gosh. Like,
And I was texting Angie. I was texting two of my friends, and one of them was Angie, and I was just like, I'm getting goosebumps right now, right? Um, yeah, but it was such an incredible experience, and it really changed my complete outlook of it. Whereas before, if something like that would have happened, I would have been filled with like rage and anger and all this towards what was happening. Instead, I was like fascinated and curious, like, wow, how did you know, right?
yeah,
And I knew everything was going to work out fine with my mom, and it did, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
then I actually talked to Jackson about it um, a little later on, and he was like, he just like brushed it off.
Yeah,
He's like, yeah, it's not a big deal to them. I'm like, dude.
it just comes through them and then they're on to the next thing. They
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
move
yeah, because
on
they
in
live in the
life.
moment,
Yes,
right?
they live in the
Such a
moment.
great
They're on.
example.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah, of like appreciate the powers, appreciate these gifts, but don't get tangled
in
up
the
in them
moment.
because it's
Yeah.
just a gift and it's so natural to them, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it was so. I was just like, holy crap.
Yeah, we hold on to it. It's so interesting because we hold on to
Yeah.
it and they don't. And that's something I teach all the time with the Buddhist teachings. It's like take everything with a light touch, let it go. Like
Mm,
the good stuff
yeah.
and the bad stuff, even the good stuff.
Yeah.
But it's so hard. But can you believe that now you're tuned in to this? Like you
Yeah.
said this to me when you messaged me that, it's probably always been there, but you hadn't noticed,
Yeah, because
right?
you had asked me, Angie had asked me, guys, she's like, has this ever happened before? I think it was you that asked, because I was
Yeah,
texting
I
another
did.
friend that's
Yeah.
like, yeah, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, and I had actually I asked like I really did ask myself that question within,
Mhm.
right? Like, has this ever occurred before? And the answer that came through was not that I had noticed
Yeah.
because I wasn't on that frequency, right? That same frequency that he is, because it's all like radio stations. If you're not tuned in
Yep.
specifically, you're just not going to hear it. Doesn't mean that it's not there.
It's just gonna
And
go right by.
also, And also, his communication skills have greatly improved. So he's 7 now, and we started bringing him to speech therapist when he was 4. Like in those 3 years, and we only did a few sessions, and it was like, oh, like he can communicate so much more clearly now. So I think that was also part of the message that was
Mm,
coming in, or the answer that I was getting, was that he can communicate so much more clearly now, especially now that we're reading a lot of books. So actually his vocabulary is like he can describe things different ways because of all this reading we're doing, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just like, oh, yeah.
So fascinating.
Yeah, and I shared this with my husband too. Um, because he's open to like coincidences and things like those are like easy conversation for him. And I'm like, I'm like, so imagine like like any children, right? Like so often nowadays we kind of look at children. Some we're like, they have behavioral issues, or they have social issues, or like this and that, like communication, or again behaviors. Like they have like I think some kids can stay really angry or stuck in certain emotions, right? Anger or frustration or sadness or even excitement, right? Where they just can't like, okay,
Yeah.
like let's bring ourselves down. But I go to my husband, I'm like, oh no shit. Like you have such a fine-tuned, intuitive gift.
Yes.
You don't know what it is. It's kind of like walking, but everybody walks on this planet. So then there's toys geared to it. There's fucking YouTube stuff. Like it's like this part of a regular child development. But when it comes to these non-physical powers, like these divine powers, these intuitive powers, we're just starting to kind of understand this, right? Because this is just the tip of the
Yeah.
iceberg that we're scratching here, Angie. And
Yeah.
then these kids, so yeah, maybe they start hollering all of a sudden, but maybe they're just again they're so intuitive, they're so sensitive, but they're also sensitive to other people's emotions because we're not, uh, many of them are not exposed to just simple exercises through like play or whatever, or even just routine, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
During your day of, hey, check in with yourself. Like sometimes um, my 7-year-old, he'll remind me, usually at the end of the day, like give back everybody's energy to them, call back your own.
Mm,
That's something that we would do, right? And he reminds me all the time. So when you're doing whatever exercises you love to do, guys, whether it's burning incense or charging your crystals, whatever kind of ritual you have, if your kid shows an interest in it, like don't push it on them, right? That never works.
no.
But if they're interested in it, just invite them in, right? Don't be like, no, this is only mommy's thing. And not that you shouldn't have stuff just for you, but like encourage them with this because these are little tools that will help this, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I
Be
mean,
open
we
to
live in a
sharing it.
world of ADD and ADHD and all this stuff for the last like couple generations. But I mean, look at who those generations are, right? We're the ones that are bringing this new vibration in. So we're
Yes.
going to
Oh,
be completely different. We're going to be completely different from our
yes.
grandparents
And we're
and our great
misunderstood
grandparents
by them. We're
and our parents. I
misunderstood.
mean, depending on where, my parents were born in, the early 50s, you know,
Yeah.
that's a different mindset. That's a different generation, which is fine because that's what the planet needed at that time. But now we're very, very different because that's evolution. And
And the funny thing is, they were
we've
very different
never
than their parents.
experienced it, right? We've never experienced revolution. We've read about it. We never experienced it. We have this like idea of like, oh, this is what it looks like lose some more hair or something, or start walking even straighter, like like that monkey evolution thing. But that's not actually what it is.
Yeah.
Transformation starts inside,
Yeah.
but there's no research on that, right?
That's
We're
exactly it.
living it right now.
Yeah. Shannon says, I do hypnosis with my son. I just tell him a story when we go to bed. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
My son
yeah, that's
has,
great. Storytelling, visualizations,
yeah,
getting them to, and even something simple like what's your kid's favorite place? Like maybe they love the beach, right? Or maybe they love the pool.
yeah.
Bringing them to that place.
You're
Maybe
tuning them
like
in too. You're tuning them into their unconscious right before bed. Like
yeah, like a
you're
doorway,
plugging them
right?
back in. Yeah.
Yeah, because sleep is so important, and if we can get those right habits, right? Like little sleep exercises or whatever, it can seriously do a world of difference.
Huge world of difference for sure. Alexis says, my son has autism and I do see the different energy shift.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they just see differently.
Yes,
That's
they
all it
do. That's
is.
all they speak a different language. Like they're not
Yeah.
in tune with what we do here because they're here to bring something
Yeah.
different to the world.
Yeah.
This
They're
is so, I
helping us
love that you
show.
said that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They're helping us, they're demonstrating to us how to see the world in a different way.
Yes.
And that is the most beautiful gift, like, to bring, especially in a
Yes.
culture that's so different to that, right? Like, that takes a lot of guts to do that, right? To be like, yeah, I'm dropping in
Yes.
and I'm carrying this new vibration, which is completely
Nobody's going to
alien
understand
to these
me. Nobody's
people,
going to understand me. My mom,
right?
though, that I chose is going to help me, to
Yeah,
change this. Like, oh,
right? That's
feel
the
that.
power in these kids. So when they're sharing these things with us and intuitive messages, guys, I mean, some of you shared some beautiful things on that post.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like deep, like,
Nope.
like it's just so funny or so like like a quick quip, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it's unfiltered. That's what I love about kids. Unfiltered.
Yeah.
It's honest, and it's right there. Like someone was sharing. What was that really quick one of someone asked her child. I
Rob
think it was her son.
Robina, yeah. So when I ask my 5-year-old how he knows something, he tells me without hesitation. I just know everything. And
Yeah,
legit, she wrote, legit can't argue with that. It's like, no, you really can't.
no,
I just know
because you want to
everything.
encourage that,
Yes.
and it's not. It's encouraging that, but not in like a knobby way or like know it all way, but it's knowing that you're connected to
You're right.
everything. And if you know
You
how to
know
use
everything.
that power, that
Yes.
connection, of course you know everything because you just got to ask. Right?
Yes. It's
Yeah.
available to you to know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they are so into it. It's funny because when you propose this, it's so funny. My mind is trying to come up with a thing, and I'm just not good at keeping quotes of my children and stuff, right? So nothing stands out because Leah is my intuitive one. Like actually they both are. I mean everybody is intuitive, but Leah is very unfiltered and she says all the things all the time that I don't record anything because I'm like every day something comes out of her, right? That I'm just like, wow, she hears me. She's just like, wait, what? But like I'm like realizing like yeah, she is just so plugged in. She just says whatever comes, like it just comes through her. And we always say with Leah, she is like joy in a little body. She loves this human life. And so when everything I do comes from the knowing that we're spiritual beings, we chose to be here, and then we land into this human body, right? And it can be tough. It could, like all the things, like you suddenly are experiencing the world, right, in duality. And Leah, like as a kid growing up, like little toddler, like she would just walk around like she just loved being on Earth. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
Like she just
awesome.
loved it. And so Kyle and I would walk behind her and be like, man, she loves being human. Like this soul loves being in this little human body.
Oh,
And so that's the intuitive message that comes through her all the time is like, you can
joy,
love it
right?
here. You can love it here. Yeah, you can be in joy here. And so she brings so much joy to this household
Oh,
for all of us.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's so
That's
beautiful.
so beautiful.
And Julie, I'm going to share that way I can get off this laptop because it keeps on shutting it out. Okay. So Julie had shared one of my favorites is from a 4-year-old that I was a nanny for. When I said to her, great minds think alike, she said, no, great minds think for themselves. She was correct.
Dad,
You
if I ever meet that kid, I'm getting a high five.
get right? So great.
Yeah, that is legit how you should live your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you read that again, just one
Yeah,
last
I sure
time?
can. I sure can. So yeah, Julie said to this kid, great minds think alike. And she said, no, great minds think for themselves. Because
think
they
for
don't think
themselves.
alike. That's true. That's such a common saying. Great minds think alike.
Oh,
But they
that's
don't. They
what we're
think for
programmed
themselves.
to believe,
Yes.
right?
Mm.
But they think for themselves. And they do. Great minds think for themselves. Think of all like those great minds, right? Like classic like Albert
Yeah.
Einstein or
Nikola
the guy from
Tesla.
Apple,
Yes.
Tesla, right?
Yeah. They thought for themselves. They didn't
Yeah,
care what people said because they knew their
yeah.
wisdom that was
Especially
coming through.
Tesla.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, he wrote some stuff that we don't even we're like, what?
Understand.
How, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Great minds think for themselves. And like that's what I mean. Like they just drop these like beautiful truth bombs on us, right?
Yes.
And there's
Truth bombs.
there's
Yes.
there's so much wisdom and it's so simple. And that's what I love about it,
Yes.
right?
We complicate things. We have been complicating things for years. Like, so this is the
Yeah.
beautiful, refreshing thing. It's an opportunity when we come across children. There's some people that don't take the opportunity to hear it. I mean, there's times I haven't been taking the opportunity. And there's some people that outright reject it, right? But that we complicate things so much and they come in and drop this beautiful wisdom that's so powerful in such little like words, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's the thing about this new energy that's entering into this earth is that they don't need words. This is why we have so many nonverbal. I believe this is my opinion, but I believe this is why we have so many nonverbal children coming into
Yeah.
this world because words are tainted here. Words are tainted. Words have been manipulated. I learned this actually recently in Brain Game just in 1400. So words are geometry. Words actually have geometry to them, and it was manipulated in the 1400s when this was
Yeah.
discovered. And so our
Well,
words,
right around the time when magic died, right? When
yes,
it was suppressed.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So words, so I just think the less words, the better sometimes,
The more mindful we are about our words too,
Yes,
because I don't know about
yes,
you, Angie, but ever since like I've grown in leaps and bounds in the past years, and especially the last couple of years, I'm so much more mindful of what I say because I know that my words are
yes.
magic. So
Me
even
too.
before, like, that's why sarcasm has like no more sarcasm. And like even jokes, like I'm very, very careful, or like expressions, right? Like great minds think alike. Like all, like before I say it, I'm like, whoa, do I
Mm,
actually want to say this? Right? So we're bringing in more silence in different ways, right? So
yes.
the mindfulness or just, these nonverbal people that are dropping into our world, right? Showing us a different way to communicate.
Yes. You know how I share quotes in the group?
Mm,
I have a note on my phone. Every time I come across quotes, I just sort of drop them in there so that when I do these quotes in the group, I have quotes to pull from, right? And I had pulled one quote from Mel Robbins, and it was really interesting because I had a lot of insight I wanted to share around it. And it was so uncomfortable. I was like, something's not aligned here. Like, I'm trying to write my thoughts on it, but it's not aligning with the thing. And I'm feeling like people will be offended. And I was like, what is going on, right? And it's so interesting. I follow this guy, Xavier Dagba, and he had posted something and he had posted about the word outgrown. And that was in the quote. The word outgrown was in the quote. And outgrown, I can't remember what his post was about, but it pointed me to why I was so uncomfortable. In the end, I followed my gut and said, nope, I'm scrapping it. I'm not posting it because something about it just felt off. And then I come across his post the next day, right? And it literally is talking about how outgrown, the energy behind the word outgrown is actually not serving others.
yeah, it's become redundant.
Yeah, it's almost like an ego thing too, like outgrown. Nobody outgrows anybody. We're just in different parts of our path. We haven't
Yeah,
outgrown somebody. We're just no longer aligned in this
yeah.
moment, in this present
That's a
moment.
more precise word, aligned.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And so that's what his post was about, was that it's just like you're just not in a resonance
Yeah,
anymore. That's all it
and
is.
and
We
that's really where
say it's
yeah,
outgrown.
yeah, and that's really where conflict arises is when two people are just not aligned. But then
And we make
the thing
meaning.
is, because if you don't recognize that misalignment, if you
We
don't
make
just
meaning.
take a few steps back and you don't take it personally and you don't blame the other person, you just be like, oh, this is just a misalignment. It's just like a math equation. Like
That's it.
this is just the this is what occurs. What I'm experiencing
Yes,
now is what occurs, but it's just a misalignment.
that's it.
Okay.
So
And
work on a
then
different
choose
formula.
that right action. But we put so much, you know, we're so involved in everything. We're so involved in our emotions and our situations. We take everything so personally. And it's like, it is literally not about you. I mean, in one
Yeah,
way it is, but really it isn't. It just
yeah,
take a few steps back and just pretend that you're looking at like two different characters like in a book, right? Can you step back enough that you're holding the book of your life and being like, oh, this is the life situation that
yeah,
my little avatar dude is in, you know?
yeah, for sure. And children, like to bring it back to the children,
Yes.
children, children know this. We take it so personally, right? That's why they're unfiltered. It's not
Yeah.
personal. It's not
They're
personal.
trying to wake
It's
up
just
that part of ourselves.
yes, they're mirroring for us, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And oh, such beautiful opportunities. So I'm going to go through the comments. I see a lot
Yeah.
going on here. I love that Shannon says. I'm not sure what that was too, but I love it too. Alexis, and thinking for yourself takes bravery. Yes, Alexis, it does. I'm just watching right now Harry Potter Order of the Phoenix, and Professor, any of you that like Harry Potter,
Mm-hmm.
Professor
Yeah.
Umbridge. Oh my gosh, watch it again, guys, with what's going on in the world right now. Watch it again because she is the
It's such a
epitome.
powerful story.
Oh my God, so powerful. I was like, oh, it took me a lot to like step away from it because we were in the middle of watching it. And thinking for yourself takes bravery. That brings me to that because she is like making them do all the things. This is the system of control and manipulation and denial of what is, right? And so that's a comment Hermione says is like, or you don't want us to think for ourselves, right? And I was like, oh, that's exactly what's going on here. It's wild. Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna point people back there. If you want to watch it because I've been like getting so many downloads watching it. It's been wild. We always say our oldest son is love in a body. Yes, Robina. We say it all the time about Leah. She is joy in a body. Like she just loves being human. And we say that to her too. We say, you just love being human, don't you? She's like, I love it. Like, yes.
That's such a great thing to reaffirm.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you notice these things in your children, guys, like reaffirm it to them, right?
Mm. Yes, exactly. Reaffirm it. Like
Yeah.
let them know it is cool. This is cool. Like I might not
Yeah.
understand it, but I see it. I acknowledge
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
feel it.
And if they just shrug it off, that's fine because
That's
to them
okay
it's not a
too.
big deal.
That's right. It's us that make things a big deal. To them, it's not a big deal. It's true.
Yeah.
It's just their way of being. I remember, Rosalie says, I remember when I took Clayton 8 days before his ninth birthday to the beach with paper and pencil to process his dad's death. He drew a landscape and said, this is heaven and this is hell, and this is my dad in the middle. And he has to do some good deeds still to get to heaven. Wow.
Oh,
Wow. That's like, see how intuitive they are? Like, that's some
yeah.
powerful knowledge for a 9-year-old to wisdom to sort of have to be able to process. Like, that's some
Yeah. Yeah.
really
And yeah, like
fascinating.
give them tools to express themselves. Like I love Rosalie how you gave them paper and a pencil.
Yeah.
Whatever they anything could have come out, right? A story, the picture that he drew, something else. Like but we're giving them that space, those opportunities to express themselves, right?
Yeah, I like that too. It is beautiful. Give them, yeah, and then give them that space. Alexis says spelling equals words are have power and can be, yes, yeah, they are a magical spell. That is spelling. It's a spell. And it's interesting when I don't know if any of you guys read the book Chrysalids in high school. That was one of the first books I read in high school. And I'm re-listening to it right now on Audible. And it's so good. And they talk about thought forms, right? Because they communicate through their minds, these kids. And they talk about thought forms. And that's what triggered me when I was learning about this 1400s, how words got manipulated because they that seek to control us understood that, oh, there's this geometry, so let's change that geometry, right? And in chrysalids, they speak in thought forms, right? And I was like, oh, that's the geometry. That's the geometry they're
Ah,
talking about.
wow.
And so, yes, it is spelling. Words have so much power. And I have always known that. And that's why it
Yeah.
really resonated with me when they spoke about it. Because one of the first occupations I thought I wanted to do, or what I wanted to do in school, was linguistics. Because
Mm.
I could see
There
that
was
words
more
could be
to it.
manipulated. Yes, I could see how
Ah,
you could use one word one way and another way. I could see that. And
yeah,
so linguistics is what I thought would help me understand that. So isn't that
mm,
interesting?
that is interesting. Uh,
It's
you know what
amazing
I
how
wanted to
everything
be
connects.
when I was a little kid? I wanted to
What?
be an archaeologist.
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing that with the non-physical, right? Just
Yeah.
digging in and
Dig in.
finding some treasures.
Yeah, you are. That was one of the
Yeah.
occupations I wanted to. Yeah, later on.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah. And
that
actually, it's
was.
funny, my mentor, Larkin, same with her. She wanted to be an archaeologist. I'm like, well, yeah, well, look
I
where the world's
love that
living now, right?
analogy. I love that analogy because it's true. I will dig all day, man. I dive into this stuff. It's so great. Rosalie, or about a year ago when he came and read me the definition of narcissism 3 times. LOL, ironic. Oh, isn't that interesting? Did he just
But you know,
come to you randomly with that? No.
and 3 times, yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Because there's also a power in
Behind
three,
three?
right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
If you want something to stick, again, say it 3 times. Or like even something simple in day-to-day, interactions where you meet someone new.
Yeah.
If you're someone that typically doesn't remember someone's name right away, you just say it 3 times within like the first minute, and you'll remember a lot more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep, it's true. Three is
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah.
Robina, I call him my sweet, loving star seed. That feels
Mm.
so good. And imagine, like, that feels so good to me. Like, I'm feeling it. It's like a warm blanket. And
Yeah.
imagine for them what that feels like because they feel
Yeah.
misunderstood, right? Star
Yeah. So
seeds,
you're offering them love and acceptance. Because
yes.
some people have come from really far away, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
yeah. Just
yeah.
welcoming
And
everyone as they are. Just
yes,
welcome everyone as they are. That's how, I mean, that's what this is all about. Like all the prejudice and all the stuff going on in the world. It's just accept people who they are.
yes.
Doesn't
Love
matter what
them.
they look like. Doesn't matter what they eat. Doesn't matter what they do for a living. Right? Just welcome them, man. Just accept. Give them space. Accept them for who they are. There you go.
And then take that
It's not a problem
mirror.
if you don't make it a problem yourself, right?
Yes, exactly. We create it as a problem. And then take that mirror and do that for yourself. Love yourself as you are. Do you know how
Yeah.
long it's been so long for me to learn this? Like to learn this love and I still struggle with it. We're human. We're on this journey, man. We Natalie and I don't claim to know more than anybody. We are figuring this shit out. That's why we're having these
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's why we have our own conversations in between, like, what the hell? Right? But that's exactly it. We're meant to be loved as we are, and we haven't had that experience, but we have the ability to give that experience to our children, you know? And Alexis says, this is such an amazing group. So grateful to have met Angie and experience all these energies. Oh, Alexis, I'm so grateful that you're here. You also contribute to that amazing energy. The people, like, I am surrounded by the people I want to be around. Like, I just love that.
Yeah.
I've been steeped in gratitude this weekend, like at that. I am surrounded by the
Yeah.
people that I can have these conversations with all the time. This is what I want to do all the time.
Yeah. I know. And I just feel like the energy in here is so loving, which
Yes.
is why I love these conversations,
Yes.
right? We're all so connected and everything just flows so well.
It always does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also love how our kids don't see race the way we were programmed. Yes.
Yeah.
They don't. They see, gosh, they see the world so differently, you know? I love it. And
Yeah.
I think about here's another intuitive thing with my children. Alice, we always said it. So she's our first child. And we always said, like, she like I had a mental health breakdown when I had her, like in the beginning. So I believed my presence wasn't there, you know what I mean? Very well, very much. So I wasn't guiding her the way I thought I should be doing. I wasn't doing the should things, right? Because I was trying to hold myself together. And it's so interesting because Kyle and I have sat and talked about it so many times. Is she just always intuitively knew what to do and what not to do. She just all the time, all the time. Like not that we label things right and wrong, right? But it's like she just always intuitively knew not to do certain things. So in a way, I felt so blessed. Like if I look back at this journey of me unraveling and I thinking I'm not doing what I should do as a parent to guide my child, she
Mhm.
just naturally took that on her own and didn't do things that I would have thought I had to make sure she didn't do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I love how you brought up that you felt like she just intuitively knew. Because
Just
she did, because she chose which moment to enter your life,
yes.
right?
Oh, thank you.
She's like,
Yes.
okay, Angie's going through, this is part of her awakening. This is like, she may be like, I am like this coming in, Angie. Like,
I'm
you're
receiving
probably
it.
thinking, I'm going to launch my mother into her awakening,
She did.
and I'm going to be right there with her.
And I
And
gave her the space.
that's why she chose that time to come into your life.
I know I'm
Coming
feeling this.
through.
I'm receiving this hugely. Thank you, Natalie. Um, oh my God, you're so right. Wow.
Yeah.
I say this to her all the time. I just said this to her yesterday. Thank you for choosing me. You chose me, and I know that. And this is just another level that you just unlocked for me. Oh, wow. Of the impact of that in this life. Damn, Natalie.
That came in so
Oh
strong.
my
Like I
God.
am just feeling everything that she felt when she chose that, when she chose to be by your side.
She was my gift of awakening. She was. She is. She is my gift of awakening. She's also my toughest lesson, it feels like, you know? But the lesson is like the toughness isn't because life is tough. The toughness is the pure love that comes through that. Because to have unconditional love, you do challenge people. You know what I mean? That is unconditionally loving. That is, I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to let you settle because this isn't
No.
why we came here. We didn't come here to
Doing the
settle.
uncomfortable things for her to help you.
Absolutely. Oh, man. Wow. Oh, man. Thinking about the children, they choose us. And I know this. I know this 1000%. And I affirm it all the time in our household. And I think about Leah. I wasn't going to have a second child. I wanted a second child. I decided that I wanted two children. And Leah, I had the fibroid. I had to schedule a surgery. I wasn't going to have children again after that. And I grieved it because I scheduled the surgery. And then Leah came anyway in the middle of before that, right? Before the surgery. So I had to cancel
Oh,
the surgery and all this stuff. And Alice wanted a little sister so badly. And it's because she knew. Do you know what I mean? I think about she knew she was supposed to come, right?
yeah.
And so I think about the expression of her as a human, and she would talk about her little sister all the time. And when we were grieving, I had kind of said we both had to sit her down and like she was only 4. We had to sit her down and kind of talk about how that might not be possible, right? And she was still well, I want a sister. And then Leah came, and the love between these two is like unreal. It's unreal. And I'm just like yeah, like she came through. You know what I mean? Like Alice like
Yeah,
manifested her through me,
yeah,
you know? And
yeah.
like the power of that.
Yeah, she
Just
knew without a doubt. It didn't matter
she knew
what
she was
the
having a
external
sister.
world, it didn't matter what
Didn't
you
matter
and
what I
daddy were
said to
telling
her.
her. She knew my sister's coming.
Didn't matter that I was just telling her my body couldn't do it. Like it didn't matter.
No,
She
yeah,
knew. She knew she was coming. And that's just the magnitude of what just unlocked with what you brought through. And that it's all just sort of coming together. It's all clicking. The neurons are all just clicking right now, are connecting.
no. And this reminds me, um, again, this conversation about just how intuitive our kids are and how it's so important to just be open to that intuition. Um, my sister-in-law always shares this story with me when her kids were young. So her youngest is, holy crap, this is probably like 20 years ago. But her youngest was 3, and her older brother was like, there's a couple years between them, right? And she's like, I was supposed to become first. She's like, but then we decided at the last minute to switch, like her and her brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Chemo's the oldest. He was born first, but Jesse, his little sister, told his mom, or told their mom when she was 3 that, um, oh, I was supposed to be born first, but Chemo and I decided at the last minute to switch. Like a 3-year-old
Whoa.
saying that to her mom, and her mom's like pretty open-minded, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe not necessarily believed in that, like
But
in that
open,
moment,
yeah.
but was open to it, right? Like was curious about it. So even if some stuff seems pretty heavy, guys, just be curious about it.
Yes.
And then maybe
Yes.
that true message, maybe you're not ready for that message yet, but it'll hit you like a bombshell. You need to get it, right?
It sure will. It's so true. I'm
Yeah.
seeing, okay, so Alexis, my daughter at 4 once said, Mommy, a grown called me white and my friend black, but or a grown up called me white and my friend black, but that's so weird. I don't have white skin. That's silly. Mommy, I have beige skin and she has brown skin. They say it as it
Yeah.
is. They call it out. They call
Yeah.
it out. My kids call it out. Yeah. So beautiful, Angie. I assume that was a beautiful moment. It was actually incredibly, and this is why Sundays and Mondays for Natalie and I, and maybe all of you
Right?
guys too,
Yeah.
we're just like all kinds of things dropping in. Holy shit.
Oh,
We open the floodgates on Sunday morning.
yeah. We absolutely do.
Yeah, we do. Alexis says, no, did I miss something? Oh, I thought I'd seen Shannon, but I don't see it now. This is making, oh no, this is Alexis. Maybe that wasn't Shannon that wrote that. This is making me think I wanted 2 girls, not a boy. But when I had Dominic, it was the biggest blessing. What a learning experience for me. I didn't have brothers. That's right, you have sisters. Didn't have brothers. And also, my generational experience has been female dominated. To be able to experience that male energy has been so foreign to me, but wonderful. My husband is the same, except the opposite. He comes from a whole family of boys, and then he got the girls, and he was known as the tough boy to handle growing
Mm,
up. And you know what's interesting is he's the tough boy because he is the rule breaker. He was the one that challenged the status quo.
yeah. Yeah, let's redefine those words, those labels that were given to us, right? Instead
Yeah,
of troublemaker, well, maybe you were brave, right? You're trying to find your voice in a world
yeah.
that not
Was
only
like,
wouldn't accept that, doesn't even understand that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I was the
Shannon is
fifth.
saying,
Sorry, yeah, you go ahead. You can read it.
so Shannon says, I was the 5th generation of all girls. I now have 3 boys.
Oh, see,
Wow.
wow.
Beautiful. And just sometimes when you bring about change, sometimes it is in a very physical way, right? Because it's both. We live in the physical and the non-physical world, right?
Yeah,
So there's going to be moments in our life where it's more the non-physical stuff, right? Like the going within, the spirituality, the learning about yourself. And other times you're literally bringing change into the world,
physically
whether that's bringing children in or, donating to an important cause or starting a company,
creating
like
something.
whatever it is, what are you bringing, right, into this physical world as well?
Yeah. Rosalie, I love Sunday mornings. I freaking love Sunday mornings too. A few tears for me too, thinking about my roles as a child and a parent. Yeah, when you really start to look at it from this way of we
Ah,
chose, and then you start to review sort of your life through that lens,
ah.
some
Like,
really
and as a
profound
child, what
things.
have you brought? Because we're all children. What did we bring
Yeah.
into our family's experience, right, growing up?
Yeah, and I've had the blessing to revisit that with my mom. Like I've had that blessing. That's like oh man, that doesn't go by me. I grew up in such trauma and chaos with my mom, and the journey with my mom has been incredible because now my mom understands me more than anything, and I understand her more than anything. And we have these really deep conversations, just like you and I have. Like
Yeah.
I'm having these with my mom. If you had told my teenage self that that would happen, I would have told you to F off. Like you obviously don't know me anything about me. Like, that's
Yeah.
never gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it's like I get to revisit this now with my mom. Like she says to me, like, now I understand how I didn't let you shine. Like I understand, I see it, but I see how I wasn't allowed to shine too. Like, man, the
Ah,
generational healing we're
connecting
doing.
the dots, right?
Yes,
And in
yes,
connecting it, you bring presence to it, and then you feel
yes,
it, right?
yes.
Yeah.
I'm over
Going in
here
and
crying
bringing,
too.
yeah.
Alexis is crying
Oh,
too.
yeah. And bringing that space to our kids, guys, when they're bringing in these intuitive messages, no matter what it looks like. Maybe it's a picture, right? Maybe it's a drawing. Maybe it's a dish that they create.
Yes.
Whatever gift that they're offering you, just give space to that, because that is also part of connecting those dots, right, to the other generation that we just haven't seen yet, right?
Yeah. Receive it. Receive the gifts. Like, receive, even if you don't understand it, receive the gifts as often as you can. And I like, you would like, man, we opened floodgates big time today.
Right?
I don't even have words. Like, there's no words.
I don't even know how to recap today, except like wow, and like crying
Wow.
again.
I know, there's no words. Like,
Yeah.
oh God, guys. Like, when, some of you have been on the calls where we talk about, like, we are badass, man.
Yeah. Talking about this, talking about this, having these conversations that you're all contributing to, that is badass.
That is fucking
Because this is
badass.
something that we didn't have growing up. This is something that other generations haven't had growing up. So again, this is the light that we're bringing into this world.
Yes.
These
Yes.
conversations. This is it.
Yes. And
This
there's
is how
people
life
that
will
don't
be.
understand this. Why would you want to do that? And it's like, when you have the experience, you'll understand why we want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But people are afraid to come into experience. And I want to acknowledge, like, Alexis is coming in. She's taken the break. She said it, I don't know what I didn't know what I was getting into, right? And it's like listening to me, she didn't know what she was getting into. And now you're here on the other side of it. And I know once people come in, you know what you realize what you're getting into, but the fear held you back from it. You see it, you start to see how the fear held you back. I'm seeing this in the Harry Potter thing too. They're talking a lot about fear, and it's really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
in
There's some
this
powerful messages in Harry Potter, because that's what kind of launched her into like another paradigm or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She had
And
nothing when she started that series, eh? She just had a
nothing.
typewriter. She was a single mom,
Yeah, on
like
welfare.
dirt poor, didn't have anything. And for some reason, she was on a train going back home from her parents, and she just started writing on napkins. Like the story just started pouring out of her, and she took action. She
Yes.
took that action that felt
Yes.
right. She just wrote on little cocktail napkins.
Yep.
Then she had a beat up typewriter, like the one where you gotta like, it goes like, I don't know how old some people are, but like you gotta slap it back, that kind of typewriter. But then this story, this gift just came pouring out of her, and all
That's the
these different
channel.
lessons, like these hidden messages. There's so many like beautiful messages in Harry Potter. It is sometimes you see it like very black and white, but like you dive deeper into it, and there's like all these beautiful messages, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, Robina, that's interesting. I was thinking this as we were talking. Isn't she getting in trouble with the woke culture right now? So I don't know what the trouble is. I haven't looked at that, but I do. I've heard stirring of that. But what I was thinking is, as you were talking, Natalie, I was thinking like these important messages come through. It's channeled information, but we have people that want to control us on this earth, right? And those people that want to control us on this earth exploit everything, everything. And
they make
so
drama out of stuff.
yes, yes, they totally exploit
Drama is
everything.
of the ego, right?
Yes. And so
Drama
we will
means
still,
you're not in control of your mind.
yes. Yeah. And we will still I've been observing this for quite some time about, the corruption and Hollywood and programming and all this stuff, right? But really valuable things come through that, right? Like through the
Yeah,
darkness.
it's a mirror.
We get things of light through that darkness. There's both
Yeah,
in there. So even though it
yeah,
might be dark controlled, let's say, right?
yeah,
Even so, let's say this movie got taken control of, right? And thought, oh, we can program people through this story. You know what I mean? The information was still pure that came through.
yes.
And so when
And
the
again,
information's pure, it will
yeah,
come through different ways.
yeah. And again, what do you want to believe, guys? If you want to
Yes.
believe the gossip and the drama, well, then, yeah, then that's that truth. Because there's not one truth, you
Yes.
know?
Millions of
I believe
truths.
I believe I always get positive messages and wisdom out of whatever I read,
Yep, me
right?
too.
Even if that's just a cookbook and it's bringing me joy, right? Or a happy memory of, my grandma's baking or whatever. That's my core belief.
Yep.
So your core belief could be, have CNN on all the time or whatever, or scroll through, the news and stuff, get sucked into the drama. That's your belief. Like that's totally like there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
but just be aware of how powerful you are, right? Because there's free will. We can
Yep.
do whatever we want, but do
Yep.
you want to put your power? Do you want to, if you? It's kind of like that wolf analogy, right? Which one are you going to feed?
Yeah.
Which like which rocket are you going to light up, right? The one
Fuel.
that's going to keep dragging you down to keep you kind of where you are, or is it going to be the rocket that's going to jump you into that next paradigm, right? That next frequency, like your alignment. Do you want your alignment to shift into something lighter, something more positive?
Yeah. I have
Yeah,
that belief
because we
too.
really are in
Everything.
control of our lives. Just something simple by like screening social media and what we read on our devices.
Yeah.
Because technology can be super powerful to help people wake up, right?
Yeah.
Um, just how do you choose to use it?
Trust how powerful you are. Trust it. Trust
You
how
are so
powerful you
fucking
are.
powerful.
I can watch, man. I can watch this dark these people that control. I could watch the news and find something uplifting in it for me and ignore the rest. Do you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
believe that. I believe whatever I watch, I'm going to get what I need from it and it's
Yeah.
cool and I don't care who's controlling the information. I don't care. You want to say hi?
Hi. Hello.
Hey, how's
Say
it
hi to everyone.
going?
We have quite a few people on with us. We're talking about Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah, you love Harry Potter, don't
Yeah,
you?
such a good story.
Can I speak the first money for my Harry Potter one?
Sure you can.
Yay! Which room?
I'm in there. Yeah, in there, out there. And the
Yeah.
kitchen, if you could do. Uh, yeah. I've never, oh, Rosalie, you've never seen Harry Potter. Oh man, Rosalie, watch Harry Potter.
Yeah. Or read the books. The books are really
Read the
good.
books. Yeah, the books are
I
better.
really like the books.
I read the
Yeah,
books
it's
first.
so well written. She's so
So good.
talented.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't she gonna, oh, that was what we were talking
Yeah.
about there. Yeah, I recommend it. I'm loving rewatching it. I love it. I love it. I love it. what was I going to share? I was going to share, oh, so when you had messaged me about Jackson, I had an incident that happened just recently, and it's just to just to show how connected they are in this unseen realm to thought forms, to things like floating out there, right, in the unseen. And so I'm laying in bed, and Leah was having a particularly hard time settling. Like she just kept talking, she kept getting up, she kept moving, she kept getting her feet on my face, like all the things, right? And so what happens is when I'm snuggling with her and she's doing that, I'll finally just turn around, like my back to her laying there, or lay on my back and just sort of not talk to her. And she'll keep talking and I'll just not say a word, right? Just let her settle, I'll send her waves of like sleep. And
Yeah. Magical melatonin.
yes, here's some sleep, here, melatonin. So she's doing that for a while. It's like 10 minutes now, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So then, of course, I'm just laying there thinking my own things. And I started thinking about a video that my tapping teacher, Jackie, had posted a month ago. And I started thinking about that video, and I'm laying there, and I've been quiet for like 10 minutes, okay? And I'm laying there, and all of a sudden, she starts going, Jackie? Who's Jackie? Who's Jackie? Who's Jackie? And then I'm like, and I'm in my head, like my tapping teacher's name is Jackie. What? And I was like, what's she saying? And I'm just like not saying anything. And she just keeps going, right? And then she's like, oh, Jackie, Jackie. And then she starts singing Jackie's name. She's like, oh, Jackie, Jackie, Jackie. Like, what? And then I finally said something. I was like, so who's Jackie? She's like, oh, I don't know, but I like her. And I was like, okay, wow. That blew my mind a little. And I was like, I told my husband, and of course, the first thing he said, here's the representation of the world dismissing everything and us dismissing everything, right? He was like, well, you must have said it out loud and you just didn't realize, you know? And I was like, no, I promise I didn't. I was quiet for 10 minutes.
Yeah. So, and then this explains, I mean, sometimes bedtime, especially with younger kids, can be really stressful because you just want to avoid it. You're thinking about it all day. You know, maybe like after dinner you start tensing up. So like literally, look how in tune kids are to our thoughts and our feelings and our energy, right? You were contemplating, you know, a lesson with your tapping teacher, and all of a sudden the kid starts singing out her name.
So random.
Like like so in tune.
Yes.
So sometimes, you know, if you're someone who struggles with, you know, putting their kids to bed and stuff, just take this little tidbit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're in tune, like it's not an accident too. I thought a lot of things in that 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it's significant that she tuned into that. And you want to know what has arrived? Like, so now that I'm thinking about it, Jackie has been arising in my Facebook feed actually a little bit more. And I'm in her membership right now. And this month, her focus is actually on connection to God, which I think was really interesting because I was like, that really spoke to me. I was like, oh, so I think I'm ready to tune in to her daily tapping this month. And so it's not an accident, right? That happened. That's the thought she pulled out of my head.
For sure. Yeah. Like a sign, right? You gave yourself a sign for your daughter.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're freaking badass. Oh,
Such
guys.
beautiful stories
I know.
we shared today. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Angie
Thank
and
you.
I.
And look at that. We're right at 12 even.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, Leah's like, oh, I gotta come say bye. Here.
Bye.
Oh, they can't see you. They can't see you. Too tight. Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Bye-bye.
There's Natalie. She was just,
Bye-bye.
oh my gosh.
Bye-bye.
Okay, girl.
Bye-bye.
All right, I love you.
He's done. Good.
Leo was actually literally just bugging me all like the last 2 days. When can we go to Natalie's? When can we go to Natalie's?
I know there's still one bathroom.
I told you. I told you
There's
they're
still
doing
one
renovation.
bathroom. Yeah.
I'm keeping on this.
You're keeping on
You're
this?
gonna keep on me? Okay.
I'm keeping your video.
I'm keeping your
Oh,
video.
you're gonna keep my video? Oh.
Yeah.
Hi
Yeah.
and bye, beauties. So everyone's saying hi, bye to you.
Bye bye.
Bye, bye. All right, we
Bye.
love you
Yes,
guys.
lunchtime over here. We love you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Natalie.
Okay,
Good
Blue
night.
hand. There's a blue
There was a
hand.
lot of activating
It's a
happening on today's call. Okay, don't pull that. I don't want to break that. Thank you. All right.
Have an
Well, I love you
awesome
guys.
week, Angie. I love you so much.
Thank you. I love you too so much. Thank you. Have a great weekend, guys.